It's Angel. This is my seventh day in a row doing a video like this. I'm excited about that. That means that I've been doing it for a week. And it just makes me happy to be doing something consistently, something new consistently. So something that came up for me today is the importance of doing what I want. Um, when I'm talking about doing what we want to do, I'm really talking about following our desires when it comes from a pure place, when it comes from a kind place. Um, I'm not talking about following like actions based on heightened dysregulated emotions. Um, I watched a video earlier today, on Instagram, and it was talking about how when we don't follow our purpose, it starts to affect our physical bodies. And it just really resonated with me. I feel like there have been times where, even if I thought that I was doing something in alignment with me, like I was doing a project or I was working somewhere, I would get physically either ill, or I would just have a lot of resistance in my body to doing the thing, or going to the place to do the thing. And I think it's really important to listen to that. The video was saying that they were using the word purpose a lot, and I think for me it's I like to use the word desire, because I do think that what we are called to do can really just be followed by what makes us excited, what we feel a strong desire to do. That's how I see it, just feeling okay, this is what I keep being drawn to, so this is what I should be doing. um some years ago, when I moved to the city that I'm in now, I started working a job in a creative field, and I was really excited about it at the time. I felt it was like a dream come true. I felt really good doing it. And after a few years of doing it, it didn't feel good anymore. I kind of felt I was putting way too much energy into it than what it was giving out for me. There were interpersonal things that started coming up, and I stopped working that job. Um, After that, I got into another creative job doing furniture design, and that was really cool at the time. I also felt like that was something that I was really excited to do. I had always wanted to do something like that. After some time, I got out of it. And then I got into jewelry design, and working in that was really cool. And again, just something I was wow, I get to do this. And now I have kind of shifted from that too, and now I've been focusing a lot on music lately, and that has been something really exciting for me. And I'm still doing some fashion things too, fashion related work, but I mean I just do a lot of different things. But the point that I'm getting at is that there are times and seasons where I've done something and I felt really good about it, and then maybe I've learned what I needed to learn, or I've done what feels good, and then something new comes up and I want to do that. And I feel for a while I would kind of put pressure on myself, thinking that that meant that I was inconsistent, or it meant that I wasn't sticking to anything. And now really I'm seeing it in this new way where I'm thinking I can still use those skills. Maybe I just knew intrinsically that had to like or wanted to like learn certain things, and then I could take that and apply it in a different way later down the line. Um, but I think for me, it's like when I feel good and like when I'm like interested in like a subject, or like I'm learning new things and I'm like making stuff, it's like I feel the best doing that. Um, when I was growing up, there was like a lot of emphasis on like going to college and like what that meant. And after high school, like I didn't really have like the opportunity to go to school right away. And I just kind of did different things, worked different places, traveled, and it just like never, like the opportunity never came back around like to go to school. And I don't know like what the future holds, but I do feel like I don't regret that. Like I wouldn't change that. I feel like even though there was like so much emphasis on like following like a traditional career path and like being able to like take care of my, like support myself in that way, it just didn't feel like right for me in that way. um and like listening to myself in that, and like trusting that I would be okay, and like I would find like different ways to support myself like while I was pursuing things that I was interested in. um it led me here, and like I feel like I'm doing a lot better than before, and I'm I feel very like happy with like the things that I was able to try, and like the experiences that I did have. Um and I really do think that if I would have stayed kind of like trying to push myself and like force myself to do something that like I really didn't feel good about doing, not because it was like um not like morally or like because of like my values, but just because of what I felt like I was capable of, I really do think that like it would have affected me physically. I'm very like sensitive just in my body and like how I react to different things. So it's like I know that being able to be flexible and being able to like pivot when I want to has been like really good for me, and I feel like it does lead me to the things um that I desire. And I think when I'm doing the things that I desire, that is like bringing more joy into the world, like through me and through other people being able to see like that they can do that for themselves too. I think that sometimes when we've been doing a certain thing for a while too, we tend to get like put into boxes. For like the longest time, I saw myself as like a visual artist. Like I was always like making like different types of like artwork, and like working like with the physical environment. Like I really saw it as like, oh, I'm like a visual artist. And now that I've been like getting into music a lot, I'm like, wow, I can also be a performing artist if I choose to be. And just because I did one thing, that doesn't mean that I can't do this other thing too. It doesn't mean that I can't um like pivot, and still all things are true, all things apply. I think that just like the way that this society works, like we're kind of just like taught to like put a lot into one area, and sometimes that just like doesn't work for people. Like sometimes it can feel very freeing and very good to just like explore all the things that we want to, all areas of ourselves, and acknowledge that we are like multifaceted. Every person is multifaceted. And when we expand on that and lean into that, it can be like just very fulfilling, in a way that makes us like feel excited to just go on, to have like new experiences, to just be like excited for the day. And I feel like when more people do that, it's like really beneficial for everyone, and I've like switched careers, switched jobs, like just done like a whole bunch of different stuff. And I know that that's like can be easier said than done. I'm like always saying that things are easier said than done. I know that sometimes like people are in positions, whether it's like dealing with emotional, mental instability, dealing with financial stress, needing to have other responsibilities that require like taking care of people. And that's not to say that like it's so easy to just like drop what you're doing and like pursue something new. But what I will say to that is like there is always a first step that can be taken. There's always like one thing in that direction. Um, I had like talked about this too, like when I was getting interested in music, like I didn't have like anything. I didn't have like a computer, I didn't have a guitar, like nothing. I just had like the desire to do it. And so what I started to do was the first thing I knew how, which was like using my voice, being able to use my voice, train my ears, do like the first step that I could, and using like my imagination. And I feel like that's true for anything that anyone wants to do. Like, if there's something that you're interested in, learn more about that thing, think about that thing, like be able to like use your imagination. And while that thing is on your mind, you will start to see like different opportunities or things associated to it that bring you closer to your desire, to what you want to do. Um, yeah, that's really what I think. Um, it's a process, it really is. But I will say that like from the time that like I started to now, like I feel so happy and so grateful that I started to pursue it, because it's like I'm doing something that like makes me feel like I just want to get up in the morning. And the more things that we do that make us feel that way, the stronger we become. Just like doing things that we don't want to do can be like physically taxing and making us feel a lot of resistance. I think the opposite is true. Is like when we're doing things that we feel like that feels like in line with our desires, it can be energizing and it can feel like um we're able to do more because of the energy that we're getting from being in tune with that, like in alignment with that. I hear that term a lot too, like being in alignment, and I think that everyone has like a different definition for that, but I think like my definition of that is like really just like where do I feel happy? Like it's like following those emotions, like where do I feel happy, what feels like good, what feels energizing, what feels like closer to my desires, closer to my goals. That's like how I know that like something feels like in alignment, if I just am like having more positive experiences. And sometimes like we could be having those positive experiences and still like feel low energy or still like have like certain setbacks. And I do think that that has to do a lot with like where our mind is too. Sometimes it is like physical health, like if there's like something that is in our external surroundings that's like affecting us. But I do think that for me it has been like also like where my mind is. Like is my mind like projecting out into other things that I need to do, fears or worries? Do I have like a lot of loose ends or like undone things, undone tasks that I need to pursue? Um, and how do I just bring myself back to center long enough to take some action toward that and to still take like some first steps in the direction of a desire or like a positive experience. So yeah, that was what came up for me today. Thanks so much for chatting. Stay chill. I'm gonna just see how long I can keep doing this. Yeah, take care.